The TARDIS arrives on an extinct volcanic island. Before long, the travelers are captured and taken into the depths of the earth, where they find a hidden civilization, the lost city of Atlantis. The Atlanteans worship a goddess named Endo and use fish people, men and women operated upon so that they can breathe under the sea, to farm the plankton based food on which they survive. The race scientist, Professor Zaroff, has convinced them that he can raise their city from the sea, but actually he plans to drain the ocean into the Earth's molten core so that the resultant superheated steam will cause the planet to explode. The travelers meet up with two shipwreck survivors, Jean and Jacko, who persuade the fish people to rebel and stop work. The doctor eventually foils Zaroff's plan, but only by breaking down the sea walls and flooding the city. Zaroff drowns, but everyone else escapes. Welcome, friends and companions! How are you today? This is your host, Enigmatic Joker. Sci-Fi and fantasy fans and all sort of fans meet on this channel for fun chats about their beloved books, movies, series, and franchises. We also talk about food and drinks, music and sport. A special place on this channel for Doctor Who, my most beloved sci-fi series of all time. I will watch this series till eternity because I love the Doctor. This channel has multiple names and it regularly regenerates. Most of the time, this channel is called Random Entertainment Channel. And random because we'll discuss everything that involves entertainment, including movies and series, books, and music. Random because we're broadcast on non-fixed times, actually many different times. It's also the case with a doctor who travels through time and space in his TARDIS, in past, present, and future, in different universes, in universe actually. So you need to subscribe to this channel to know what time the broadcast is. Yes, in fact, this world has many time zones. And I want to meet you. So the reason I do the streams on different times is because of this. Random, also, because we'll have no guests or different guests. It depends on what you join me in a live stream or panel. If you want to join me in live stream, feel free to contact me via Discord server of this channel, and you can contact me there, or you can put a comment under one of the YouTube videos, and we will look what is possible. And also, it's possible invite me for a channel. I'm available to contribute to your channel, to meet you on your channel, to talk about the things you're interested in, passionate for, and enthusiastic about. So the Discord server is called Random Entertainment Channel. Tag Doctor Who on Discord, and you find me very quick because I bump the server regularly. So cheers, mate, and have lots of fun. This is your host, Enigmatic Joker. And so today we have a second Doctor story. Yes, 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 Patrick Troughton. And this story is called The Underwater Menace. So as usual, we do some general info before we dive into the plot. So the format of this story is four 25-minute episodes. So, The Underwater Menace was the fifth serial of season 4 of Doctor Who. As of 2023, its second episode is the earliest surviving second Doctor telerecording known to exist. Currently, only episodes 2 and 3 survive in full. This was originally meant to be Patrick Troughton's second story and the third story of season 4. This was partly due to the story's originally intended director Hugh David believing the story to be too ambitious for the Doctor's Who budget. The two missing episodes, along with the surviving episodes 2 and 3, were animated and released on DVD, Blu-ray, and Steelbook in both color and black and white on 13th of November 2023. So that's about a year ago. So this is some general info. We will now dive immediately into the plot, and even haven't watched and or listened to this story yet, I highly recommend you to do it. Otherwise, you can decide for yourself to listen further to the plot. Let's go. episode by episode. Episode 1. Jamie is blown away by the interior and the workings of the TARDIS. The Doctor quotes Robert Burns to him, which confuses him further due to the fact that Burns wouldn't be born until 10 years after Jamie left in the TARDIS. The TARDIS materializes on a volcanic island. The crew explore their surroundings. Ben, Polly, and Jamie climb up a shallow hill for better vantage, whilst the Doctor begins to investigate the rocks to give him a clue as to their whereabouts. As the three companions climb, Polly thinks she sees something in the distance, but Ben and Jamie say she must be imagining it. Polly decides to wait for the boys as she's running out of breath. They leave her on a ledge to return for her when they reach the top. She begins to explore and finds a bracelet that she examines very closely before beginning to explore a nearby cave. Here she is confronted by roped figures. She screams, which alerts Jamie and Ben. They return back to the cave and begin to explore. They are ambushed by roped figures who then capture them and put them in a small room where Polly is tied up. They discuss what to do until the door opens again, and the Doctor is thrown in with them. Once all four are together, the room begins to descend like an elevator. The companions suffer difficulty in breathing, a nausea and a stranger taste in their mouths before they fall unconscious. They awake later in a compression chamber. The Doctor wonders what time period they are in, and Polly takes a step at the 1970s. When challenged, she reveals the bracelet, which is a souvenir from the 1968 Olympics in Mexico, alluding to the fact that it must be some point after that. A guard armed with a spear enters, and Polly and Jamie try to communicate with him, but to no avail. He gesticulates with his spear, indicating that they should go down a corridor. They are taken to a dining hall and given a dinner of plankton. The armed guard is hostile towards a servant girl called Ira, whom the Doctor sticks up for. Lolem, a priest, arrives and says that their goddess Ando prophesied visitors falling from the sky before one of their festivals. He orders his guards to seize the four travelers in preparation for their sacrifice. As they are dragged away, the Doctor says he has something important he needs to say. Lolem humors him and says he has 5 minutes whilst his friends are dragged away. The Doctor says that Professor Zaroff, who has deduced to be there, would be very disappointed if he heard that Lolem had killed him. When questioned as to how he knew Zaroff was there, the Doctor states that only he could produce such delicious food from plankton. Lolem says that this changes nothing and that the Doctor will still die. The Doctor asks for him to send a note to Zaroff. So Lolem forbids this, but the Doctor smuggles the note to Era and asks her to deliver it. The companions have been led into a temple surrounded by a moat of shark-infested water. Ben, Polly, and Jamie are tied up and placed on ramps that tilt into the water. The Doctor is led into the temple, tied up, and placed on the fourth ramp. The ramps slowly begin to lift. The four victims try to cling on as best they can. Era goes to Zaroff's quarters and is forbidden entry. She then asks to see someone like Damon. Damon is given the note which reads, Vital secret will die with me. Dr. W. Damon immediately gives the note to Zaroff, who rushes out and stops the ceremony and orders the doctor to be released. Initially, his companions are to be consigned to their fate, but the doctor tells Zaroff he will not tell his secret whilst his friends are in danger. They are sent to the labor controller while Zaroff and his doctor speak privately. It is revealed that Zarov faked his own death, allowing the world to think he was assassinated or kidnapped in a plot between East and West Germany. The doctor flatters him so much that when he admits that he has no secret, Zarov praises him for his sense of humor and allows him to live. Hello, Shadow. How are you? So Damon is in charge of the labor and sends Jamie and Ben to the mines. When left alone with Polly, he slightly intimidates her before showing her Zarov's plans. Outside are farmers who have been given plastic gills in order to farm food underwater. Polly marvels at this but blenches when she discovers that this is the fate that the demon has in mind for her. The doctor and Zaroff talk, and the doctor deduces that they are in the lost city of Atlantis. Zaroff reveals that, in return for raising Atlantis, he was allowed to practice his experiments in the city. Hera comes and informs the doctor and Damon's plans for Polly. The doctor tells Hera to go back to Polly, watch over her, and if she has a chance, to get her away from Damon. However, it seems too late as Polly is on the cusp of being anesthetized by Damon. End of episode 1. Episode 2. Whilst being shown around a laboratory, the doctor fiddles with the lighting, which affects the operating room. This stalls procedure. Damon turns up to the laboratory, demanding to know why Zarov is draining so much power. Zarov shows Damon he has a separate generator, whilst the two argue. Doctor fuses the generator, plunging the operating room into darkness. The two doctors leave Polly to see what is going on. Ara sneaks in and frees Polly, taking her to the case. Daman is furious with the doctor, and even Zaharov agrees it is best if the doctor stays with him. Zaharov explains to the doctor that he plans to bore into the center of the earth and drain water away so as to render Atlantis accessible by land. The doctor realizes it will blow the planet apart, and Zaharov concedes that this is an issue before stating that this will be his final testament. Down in the mines, Ben and Jamie meet Sean and Jacko. They are immediately ingratiated into their gang when Jamie helps them hide a compass from the dictatorial foreman. They explain that they are going to use the compass for a breakout plan. The doctor discovers that Polly has been freed and escapes from Zaro's lab by creating a chemical reaction that causes a stultifying effect on those that breathe in the fumes. Sean and Jacko explain that they have found an underground shaft which they will use to escape. Ben and Jamie will join them. An alarm sounds in the mine, which means the group is going to separate before they decide to slip away in this process. The doctor has sneaked into the cave system. He encounters Ira, who tells him Polly is safe. While on talk, they overhear a priest called Ramo talking to Damon. The doctor discovers that Ramo also mistrusts Zaroff. The doctor asks Ara to distract Damon so he can talk to Ramo privately. Ara approaches Damon and tells him that she saw Polly in the marketplace. Damon falls for it, and the doctor approaches Ramo. He goes to call out, but the doctor convinces him that he has important information regarding Zarov. They go somewhere private to discuss. The party of escapees decide to split up and find the best way through the mines. At the temple, the doctor shows Ramo what Zarver intends to do using a jug and fire as props. Ramo is convinced and says he will summon him to an audience with the Supreme Leader Taos, but warns the doctor that Taos is a strong advocate of Zaros and if it won't be easy to convince him. Jacko joins up with Sean and Ben to say that Jamie has slipped down a cliff edge. Sean goes on to see if there is a better means of escape while Jacko and Ben go back to help Jamie. Back at the temple, Ramo gives the doctor some ceremonial ropes in order to get him close to Taos. As soon as they leave, Polly leaves from her hiding place. As she does, a secret door in the temple opens and Ben, Jamie, Sean, and Jacko emerge. Once alone, the doctor and Ramo explain Zaro's plan to Taos. He asks to be left alone to consider his options. Harry returns to feed the refugees, but is interrupted by people entering the temple. So everyone except Ara hides in a secret compartment. The doctor and Ramo are summoned to the temple. Taos says he has considered both their opinions. Just then, Sarov and his guards enter and Taos tells Sarov to do with them what he will. End of episode 2. Episode 3. Doctor tries to protect Ramo by telling them that he was led astray by him, but Ramo stands up for himself and states he has always hated and mistrusted Zarov. The doctor and Ramo are led away to be fed to the sharks. When left alone with Rose, Zarov promises him that the doctor's stories were untrue. Doctor and Ramo are brought by Lolem and the other priests to the idol of Amdo. They are about to be beheaded as a sacrifice and fed to the sharks when a voice issues from the statue of Amdo, commanding all present to bow their heads. The doctor, recognizing the voice as Polly's, escapes with Ramo and meets up with his friends in a secret enclave in the temple. On rising from their prayer and finding the doctor and Ramo gone, Lolem claims it to be a miracle. The statue has a mouthpiece on the inside designed for people to sound like their words are emanating from the idol. Sarov tells Taos that his plan will come to fruition in 2 days' time. Lolem enters and tells Sarov and Taos of the miracle. Sarov is sketching of Lolem's stupidity and orders Atlantis searched despite the doubts of Taos. Inside the idol, the doctor makes his plans. Sean and Jacko will convince the fish people to stop supplying the perishable plankton to Atlantis, and the rest will kidnap Zarov. The doctor and Polly disguise themselves as regular Atlantis shoppers in the marketplace, whilst Jamie and Ben disguise themselves as guards. Avoiding the real guards, the 4 of them trick Zarov away from his guards and into the temple, where he is captured. Meanwhile, Sean insults the fish people, until they are in such a state of disarray that they agree to stop production to get back at Sarov, the man Sean blames for their current state of servitude. Sarov taunts the doctor, saying that without him the plan will still go ahead. The doctor doubts this, stating that Zarov's maniacal ways would stand in the way of such hands-off approach. Sarov becomes enraged by this and falls into a fit. The doctor takes Ben and Jamie to the laboratory to check on Zarov's progress while Polly and Ramo guard Zarov. A service is going on outside. So the doctor and his companions hide until it is finished. Inside the idol, Zarov repents his behavior, begs Ramo to help him so he can pray with him. Ramon consents after convincing from Polly. This is a trick, and a scuffle breaks out between the two. Eventually, Zaroff stabs Ramo and disappears into the cave system with Polly as his hostage. Once the service has finished, the doctor decides Jamie should go back and ask Ramo for directions. As he turns back, he meets the mortally injured Ramo, who mutters about Polly's abduction before dying. The doctor sends Jamie after Polly whilst he and Ben go on to the laboratory. Jamie catches up with Polly and overpowers Sarov. A fight breaks out between them. Sarov appears to have the upper hand when Sean and Jacko join the fight. Sarov runs off into the cave system. Polly decides they need Ira to help reunite them the doctor. Back at the council chamber, Taos is informed by Damon of the revolt of the fish people. He agrees to end discussions with him. Sarov enters and overrules this, saying that any dissenting fish people will be killed. Finally, realizing the doctor was right about Sarov, Taos says the scientist has no right to overrule him and orders his experiment be halted immediately. But Zarov merely laughs and shoots Taos, then orders his two guards to kill both guards, which they do. He then vows, "Nothing in the world can stop me now." End of episode 3. Episode 4. The doctor and Ben discover the bodies left by Zarov. Two guards are dead. Taos is wounded. They decide to take him back to the temple. Jacko and Sean are unsure as to what to do. They are tempted to leave the doctor to it. Doctor returns with the Taos and announces his plans. He informs them he is to flood Atlantis to stop Zarov. He orders Jacko and Sean to move people, while he and Ben will begin the process. Zarov hears that workers are leaving their post due to the shortage of food. They are having to go and scavenge their own food. Ben and the doctor sneak into the generating station with Ben, dressed as a guard, pretending that the doctor is his prisoner. Once inside, they knock out the scientist and make their reactor overload before heading off to Zarov's laboratory. Lost in the cave system, Jamie and Polly see one of the cave walls glowing luminously due to the radiation. As the wall begins to degrade, water begins to flood in. The pair needs to make it to land, but the path they choose leads to a dead end. Jacko and Sean hear the noise and decide it's time to leave. Damon joins their gang, lamenting the ruination of his life's work. As they escape, the temple is destroyed. Toes is distressed that Lodon was in there, but they are forced to push in. Zaharov, concerned by the fluctuations caused by the doctor, brings the mission forward. It will commence in 5 minutes. The doctor enters and explains to the technicians and guards Zaharov's true plan. They desert him. Zaharov operates a control and a cage-like Grell descends so he and the main control area are isolated from the rest of the laboratory. Zaharov says that the doctor and Ben will never get to him. As time passes, Ben hears the sea approaching and makes to leave. To make life harder for Zaharov, the doctor cuts off his light supply. Zaharov is forced to raise the grill and comes out from the control area, armed, to switch the lights back on. Ben suddenly returns and heads for the main control area, where he quickly operates the control for the grill and sets out again before it comes down. Ben and the doctor escape while Zaharov, cut off from his control area, desperately reaches through the growl to try to operate the detonation control. But it's no good. The control is just beyond Zarov's reach. The doctor wants to go back to save Zarov, but there's a rockfall blocking the way to the laboratory. The water rises in Zara's laboratory. As the dial on his experiment drops to zero, he descends into the water. In the cave, Polly and Jamie reach a ledge and Polly gives up, but Jamie convinces her to continue climbing. Soon enough, they reach the surface. Jamie tells to Polly that it's unlikely the Doctor and Ben have survived. Also safe, Ara, Taus, and Damon think the Doctor dead. Taus wants to raise a stone for him in a new temple, but Damon says there will be no temples or fish people in the new Atlantis. He says superstition caused the trouble with Sarov, and the restoration of Atlantis will be a memorial to the Doctor. As Ben and the Doctor make their way up to the land, Ben wonders if Polly has survived. On land, Polly and Jamie sit disconsolate until the Doctor and Ben emerge from the caves. They head to the TARDIS. Checo and Sean emerge onto the beach and are puzzled to see a police box there. They look in bemusement as the police box dematerializes before their eyes. In the TARDIS, Jamie admits that, without having a clue what's going on, he's enjoying himself. The crew mock the Doctor for not being able to control the TARDIS. He says that it isn't true. This isn't true, and to prove it, he will take them to Mars. He flicks a switch, and the TARDIS begins to careen out of control. And that, my friends, companions, is the end of this story, The Underwater Menace. I will name some cast members. Doctor Who is played by Patrick Troughton. Ben Jackson is played by Michael Craze. Polly is played by Anneke Wills. Jamie McCrim is played by Fraser Hines. Professor Zarv is played by Joseph Erfuders. Ara is played by Catherine Howe. Ramo is played by Tom Watson. Lolem is played by Peter Stevens. Demon is played by Colin Jeavons. Demon's assistant is played by Gerald Taylor. Overseer is played by Graham Ashley. Zalov's guard is played by Tony Handy. Checo is played by Paul Endel. Sean is played by P.G. Stevens. The host is played by Noel Johnson. And Nola is played by Roma Hoodnut. And there are also some uncredited cast. But yeah, let's take a choice. Some world building in story. 4 things. The second Doctor deduces that he and his companions are not in Britain because of the volcanic rock he found that was 25 million years old. Second thing is that as they land, Polly hopes it is 96-6 Chelsea. Ben wants to avoid the Daleks and the Doctor wishes to see prehistoric monsters. A third thing is that Checo calls Jamie Jock. And the last thing in world building is that the Doctor eats plankton. Some story notes. I was already saying only episodes 2 and 3 of this 4-part story exist in the BBC Archives as 60mm black and white film tele-recordings. Another note is that since Jamie isn't actually shown inside the TARDIS in the Highlanders episode, one of these stories has his bigger on the inside moments. Another note is that episode 1 of this serial concludes a run of 12 missing episodes, which begins with episode 4 of the 10th Planet. As of 2020, this is the longest run of missing episode. Another story note is that at the end of episode 3, Professor Zarf utters the timeless line, "Nothing in the world can stop me now." Davros and the Fifth Doctor would say similar lines in Journey's End and the case of Androzani, respectively. While the War Machine still remains the only time in history of the classic series where the Doctor is referred to explicitly as Doctor Who, Although the term also features in an unearthly child in the gun and the gunfighters, the Doctor's note to Zaroff in the first episode is assigned Doctor Who, Doctor W, making this the second closest Doctor has ever come to referring to himself as Doctor Who. Until the 12th Doctor used it in World Enough and Time. Another interesting note is that this was the first Doctor Who story about the lost city of Atlantis. One music cue from this story exists entitled Fish People. This is also the final story in which the second Doctor wears his stovepipe hat. Also, one interesting thing is that Bernard Lodge's new title sequence that featured Patrick Troughton's face was going to be debuted in this story. It was held off until the Makra Terror. Also, now that he was a main character, Fraser Hines decided to begin modulating the Highland lift he had employed in the Highlanders, achieving a more conventional Scots accent. So these are some story notes. The last thing I want to say about this story is in context of continuity, because in the universe, stories and episodes are to some extent related to each other, influencing each other, linked to each other, and referencing to each other. One thing in continuity is that Azal implied that the Daemons were connected to the sinking of Atlantis. TV story The Daemons, that is with the third Doctor John Pertwee. Atlantis was destroyed by the Colonel of War when the third Doctor was there in TV story The Time Monster. So, and that, my friends and companions, is all I have to say about this story. The commercials. Sci-Fi Fantasy fans been to this channel for fun chats about their love books, movies, series, and franchises. We also talk about food and drinks, music, and sport, and a special place on this channel for Doctor Who. Random because we'll discuss everything that involves entertainment, including movies and series, books, and music. Random because we will broadcast on non-fixed times, actually many different times. You need to subscribe to this channel to know what time the broadcast is. Random also because we have no guests or different guests. It depends on join me in the live stream or panel. If you want to join me in the live stream, feel to contact me via Discord and YouTube, and we'll look what is possible. And also, it's possible to invite me for your channel. I'm available to contribute on your channel to talk about the things you're interested in and enthusiastic about, passionate for. So feel free to invite me for your channel for a live stream panel. I'm available for that. Discord server is called Random Entertainment Channel Doctor Who. And you find me very quick on Discord because I spam the server regularly. So cheers, mate, and have lots of fun. This is your host, Enigmatic Joker. Okay, I'm looking forward to meet you. See you next time. Bye bye.